now we're moving to the AWS Practitioner part. AWS Practitioner is the first certification in AWS. It's a basic concept. They'll cover the basic concept in the AWS Practitioner. After that only we will have the associate certification, solution architect, DevOps, SysOps, associate level, and then professional level, and then security, and we'll take particular certifications. Let's start into the AWS practitioner part. If we know the AWS, cover the AWS practitioner very well, then you will understand about the AWS services and what are the features given by the AWS, so that you can easily move into the major area like solution architect or developer part. The AWS practitioner, the basic one is the EC2 instance, that is the Elastic Compute Cloud. EC2 is nothing but virtual machine. The virtual machine, we create a virtual machine in the console itself, AWS console itself. The machine will be like a Unix or Red Hat, Linux, or Windows version 2016, 19, 2012. Anyway, so everything will be provided by AWS with the AMI image, Amazon Machine image. So they will provide the AMI image. We can create a machine using the AMI machine, or you can purchase the. If you don't find the versions in the AMI, you can purchase the particular image from marketplace also. They will provide those options. As mentioned earlier, we'll spend the more spend money in building the server. If it is in the on-premises, we have to purchase, getting license, install the software, and build the application, everything. And that is in on-premises data center. It will usually take the time, right, to get it. But in EC2, we'll get it quickly. That so we discuss more on this. The pricing wise, it's a pay-as-you-go model. How much you consume, you have to pay for that. They are providing the option like if you bring up the one machine, like a Windows 2019 machine, you can switch off the machine anytime. They will charge for the how much you consumed and how much the machine was online. Those amount of time only they will also charge. The back end, they will charge only for your disk. If machine is down, they will charge only for your storage. The back end, if you have purchased 100 GB or 200 GB of disk, they will charge you for only 200 GB. That is very, very less amount. If your machine is online up only, they will charge 100%. So they are giving the flexibility. You can shut down the machine off business hours. If it's a non-production environment, you can. Most of the organizations, they're doing the testing development part in cloud environment only, because they can shut down and they can get the machine immediately, and they have the other benefits of like they can shut down it anytime, and they'll charge. AWS is charged for how much you have consumed. So timing and the cost wise, they're getting more benefit on this. So that's the EC2 instance, and in the EC2 instance, we are it's not part of the other topic is monolithic and microservice is not part of EC2, but current trend, most of the organizations are preferring to use microservices, and but there are huge differences between monolithic and microservices. The monolithic is having codes in a larger manner, and microservices having codes are created in a small services. So if, for example, you have your startup company, 2-3 resources only you are having, then you can prefer for monolithic, because the code will be in a single. It's like a single page. You 3 people can write the code and edit it and run the code there. It will be very easier in monolithic. If you have 100 plus members in your organization, you prefer to use microservices for better. You can divide the applications a small portion in microservices. So we can split the 10 resources can work in one service, other 10 resources can work in another services. Like that, we can split up in microservices. In monolithic, we don't have such benefits. Only single page. It's kind of large code base. We have to edit it. If even though the three resources are working in different technologies, they have to work in a single place only. But in a microservices, they can we can split up the project and they can work it from anywhere, and they can do the work or maintenance work and all. They can perform it. In a monolithic, both having a pros and cons, but the current trend of organizations are preferring to use microservices because the AWS is giving good services in microservices. That is called a container and all. The upcoming slide. AWS provides the containers. Containers is services. The services called the elastic container services. Earlier we will create a VM. The VM will create the applications and all. But the resources part, RAM and CPU part, if you create a VM, the VM will create a 8 GB RAM, 100 GB disk, means the VM will be assigned. The another VM will have 8 GB RAM, 100 GB. So totally 16 GB RAM we will assign to the virtual machine. Whether the application using the 8 GB of RAM or not, we don't know. Even it uses 4 GB, or you can use the machine can expect 10 GB also. So in the container, that is in VMware. In the container world, we can assign the 8 GB of RAM to the container, but it can use only 6 GB. The remaining 2 GB, it will release it, and the other machine, other VM want to use 10 GB, so it will give the 2 GB to other container services. So the resources part, majorly the resources part, CPU, memory, disks, and all will be shared among each other. That is so container. That's the reason currently organizations are preferring to use container for smaller applications, because they can save the resources and also cost. So VMware have their own features, but current organizations are preferring for smaller applications. They prefer to use in containers. AWS is providing the services for elastic container services, where we have to create the services in the server and with the help of Amazon for data. So there is a different container and VMware. So that we don't cover in the practitioner part. And the other thing is the container world currently the major organization is Docker. They're providing, it's an open source. We can install the open container for Docker and manage our environment. And the other topic is serverless. Earlier we discussed about EC2, right? We purchase the server and all. Then we will pay for how much we consumed, right? The other topic is in AWS is providing is serverless. Serverless means you don't purchase any physical, any infrastructure server. Like you need not to purchase any Windows machine or Linux machine. You just you have to write the code, and you have to deploy the code in the function. It will run and connect. You will provide the result. That is called as a Lambda. They will call it AWS Lambda. That's the future provided. You have to pay only for how much hours you are using the Lambda functions. So you need not to pay for memory, CPU, those things. Everything will be taken care by AWS itself. So you have to write just the code alone, and you can connect with the other AWS services or API gateways. That's it. You need not to worry about infrastructure at all. We discussed about the region already. There are regions across the world, and usually as an architect, we have to decide where our data to be present, whether in US or India or Europe. We have to decide ourselves based on our application functionality and governance model. If your let's say our other data cannot be in US data center, right? So those things will be, as an architect, they will finalize it where data should be present. Based on that, they will make an agreement with the AWS sales team, and then they will take it further. So they'll give as a first architect priority is first point is data governance and security, and then only they will prefer for cost saving on other parts. The pricing will be same for across the region. Whatever charging the US, the same the amount they charge in if you use the region in India also. So pricing wise, there is no differences. Only there is a limitation of services in the regions. For example, in US, we'll get all the services, MIL, IoT services. But in India, in Mumbai region, we'll get a limited amount of services. Even we'll get the AIM and all the services. But any recent features come, they'll prefer and first they will implement in US region, and then only it will come into the other region. So the next topic is how to provision AWS resources. AWS is having the console called console.aws.com, where we can create our ID, and also we have to provide our credit card or debit card. It's a free tier only. They are providing a 12-month free tier, but we have to provide our debit card or credit card details in the while creating our ID in the console. Once the ID is created, you can create the services. There are free services also they are providing it, but that is 2 GB of RAM. For example, for EC2 instance, they give only 2 GB of RAM, 1 CPU. Such things they'll give it as free for testing purpose. If you want to try high range of mission, then we have to pay from our package. So they're giving free tier for all the other services also, major services, RDS and all. But 200 hours, 300 hours, they'll provide for free services, and then they'll charge. But the thing is, they will once your free tier is over, they will charge from they'll charge in your credit card, but they'll inform you in advance. So they are planning to how much. So before charging your credit card, they'll inform you in advance. You can confirm whether you want to continue or you can disable that. So in the console, we can create all the services, free services and paid services also. And apart from console, we have the AWS CLI command line interface. We can install the command line interface in our laptop, and instead of using console, you can write they have provided commands. We can use the commands to connect the environment, and then we can create it. Most properly, the infrastructure as a code, that's called the AWS Cloud Formation. They prefer to use command line interface only, because the critical, that is banking organizations and all, they don't allow us to use AWS console. Even though the AWS console is very easy to create the resource, access the resources, managing it, but they prefer to use command line only. So AWS is providing 3 types of offers: always free, 12 months free, and trials. Always free means nothing like all the time it is free. It's not like that. They are giving very less services with less resources. As said, 2 GB RAM, 1 CPU. Such machine they will provide it. We can test purpose, we can utilize it. That's for free, always free. 12 months free, they'll provide few services for 12 months. After 12 months, they will charge. And the 12 months also, they have some specification, like a few hours only we can utilize for the particular services. And also they don't cover all the services. They only few services we can, for example, Lambda, SES, SNS, there are few services are there. We can use those services for 12 months for free. The other services they will charge as it is. Trials also, it's like a free only. We can utilize it, and after utilization, we can purchase in the marketplace. If you are fine, then we can go ahead and purchase it. That's the trial version. Once you got the access to the portal, right? Every week you have the recommendation. Every week you have to check it in the AWS Cost Explorer services, so that you will understand whether they are charging anything indirectly or not. Anything they are charging in your utilization, it will be displayed in the Cost Explorer page. The Cost Explorer page will show you how much hours you have utilized, how much resources you have utilized. Those details will be present in the page. So based on the cost, you can decide whether you can continue or you can disable the services. So, this is very important in cost aspects. The service AWS budget, then other services they provided AWS budget, where even the few projects have the budget constraints, right? So they will give only, for example, they give $1,000 for application creation alone. Some hackathon and all, they'll give $1,000. Within the $1,000 only, we can create the services. We can access the services and utilize it. So you can mention the $1,000 in the AWS page. So we can utilize the services, and if it crosses the $1,000, then it will inform you in advance in the email or in the call, the preferred method we choose while creating the account. They will inform you. Then you can decide whether to continue or to extend the amount. So this is called like a budget. How much we can. It's like an alarm. If we crossing $100, $1,000, it will inform you. That's the benefit of AWS budget services. Other topic is migration strategy. So when you move to the cloud, AWS or Azure or any major cloud vendor, you will always think about migration strategies. So your application is running in data center, but you want to move into cloud. So this 6 point you have to discuss with our team, and then only you can confirm whether your application is eligible to move into the cloud or not. So this 6 point, they'll call it a 6 R's. So the 6 R's you have to remember always. That is, first point is rehosting. This is called a lift and shift. They will call it as lift and shift. If your application or your product can move into the cloud without changing anything in the code, just you can copy the code, and your application is running in Windows 2019. The same Windows 2019 is running in cloud. Just copy the code and paste it here in the cloud. So it will solve the problem. Then it's called a lift and shift. Replatforming means your application is running in 2019 in your on-premises, but cloud is having some constraints that packages will not be able to install in cloud. Then we have to restructure our re-platform our. It will be in cloud. Like if the application will run in only Windows 2012, then we'll run the code in 2012 from we'll take it to code from the on-premises and run it in the cloud. So the 6 R's we have to always prefer while moving to the cloud. So the other topic is a demo and case study. There are many applications running in the cloud. even that we see the Amazon videos, right? So Amazon videos or YouTube or they are running in the cloud only. They use their own services. For example, YouTube is owned by Google. They use the GCP, and Amazon and all they use their own services. There are service they use buffering, memory, videos, media, everything. They'll use their own services only. So, and the other topic is career in opportunities. Cloud is a booming current trend, and we have to get into the cloud definitely. If you are working in on-premises or a student, you need to work into the cloud, either AWS or other or GCP. These three are in top. In the AWS is currently used by 60% in organization, and the other 30% Azure and 10% by Google. The AWS, right? We have to choose whether after practitioner solution architect, you have to decide. You have to get into the one area whether you want to be in infra line or DevOps line or IoT or MIAL language. You have to or big data. You have to decide. So you have to catch up in one area and get into the market based on your current experience. And as said earlier, practitioner is the first certification for basic concept. The other certification after practitioner, we have few certification, solution architect, developer, and SysOps, and then we have professional. So professional is like architect. So cloud practitioner is a basic. After cloud practitioner, you can complete it to the other based on your whether you are infra line or developer role. You can decide the other certification. If you are in infra line, you can choose the solution architect. If you are in developer line, you can choose the developer. After finishing this, you have to finish the professional level. Professional is advanced, is kind of architect.